Okay, hello and welcome to the Modern Web Development Toolkit Series 3B. In 3A, we talked about setting up a development environment in a virtual machine using Vagrant and VirtualBox, and just how easy that was. So we set up Scotchbox, which is a pre-built machine image that has tons of software in it. It's really easy to just get using. You don't have to know any Linux. You don't have to know any command line stuff except the Vagrant thing. But we're going to take this to the next level in this video, and we're going to talk about, first thing, provisioning. Now, provisioning is what lets Vagrant automatically install and configure additional software, as well as run additional commands when you run Vagrant up or Vagrant provision. Now, you can add these commands directly to your Vagrant file, but a more flexible solution is to use a separate script file. Now, your script file is going to be a Linux shell script. If you're not comfortable with the Linux command line utilities or shell scripting, you may wish to do some research first or work with someone else who has Linux scripting background. But we're going to show you some basic tasks in this guide that you can use. So, in your favorite text editor, and I'm using Atom, I create a file called bootstrap.sh. You can call it anything you want. Just kind of remember .sh is a handy way of reminding me this is a shell script, and the bootstrap just means it runs on boot. So I started out here, just a real simple command, good old hello world. Use the echo command, and now I'm going to tell Vagrant that it has to run this command. First, I'm going to do a quick status just to make sure, since it runs in the background. Every once in a while, I just kind of run status just to make sure the machine's running or not. So I'm going to go provision, and one thing I did forget. I do have to set up my Vagrant file to tell Vagrant to actually do this. So that's relatively easy. So I just need to put this down here. Config VM provision, and this is all documented on the Vagrant site. The documentation is really good. It just walks you right through setting up your first virtual machine, and all this says is when I run the provisioning command, when I'm provisioning this machine, I'm going to use the shell command interpreter, and I'm going to use the bootstrap.sh file for my scripting, for the commands it's going to read in. So that's all saved. So now I can go ahead and run Vagrant provision, and it's going to sort of reread, and there we go. We say hello. There's my hello world. Great. Now it strikes me that now we know we can have it run any shell commands we want. We can put any Linux command into bootstrap.sh. So let's do something useful with it. And we're going to use it. We're going to modify our virtual machine. In this case, we're going to install some software. I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. And I've already sort of cheated and typed these in already. And let's take a look at these commands that I put in. apt-get update is a command to update my software package database to make sure I have the latest versions of all the stuff that I'm going to install in the next line. And these are all packages that my software that I'm going to install in the next line needs in order to install correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and download the package. Use this wget command. Just we'll download from an HTTP or FTP site. Just give it a URL, and it pulls down, whatever it is you tell them to do. And then, of course, I'm going to use the package manager dpackage to install the software I just downloaded. Well, Webmin is a web-based administrative front end for Linux. It's very, very handy. Lets you manage a Linux server or pretty much any kind of Unix server just using a point-and-click web interface. And we'll see how that works now. So the sudo, by the way, I didn't mention sudo. This is what lets you run a command as the administrator. So if you're a Windows user, it's very similar to run as administrator or open as administrator. it's kind of like that. So if you want to, it just temporarily gives you administrator access. So I've already saved my changes. Let me go ahead and I'm going to run provision again. And this is going to take a little bit longer because I got more stuff going on. Here's my updating my software package database. So depending on the speed of your internet connection, and it could take a couple of minutes. It's pretty quick. Now it's going to go ahead and install the packages I tell it to install. These are the libauth and Perl things, all these Perl packages that Webmin relies on, because Webmin uses CGI, Perl-based CGI, to do its connecting to the server. So it's already installed it, and it's unpacking them. It's setting them up now, and in a moment, it's going to go out and it's going to grab the latest version of Webmin. And let's take a quick look. Let's go to webmin.com. And show you. Very, very handy. Runs on every Linux. Runs on pretty much any version of Linux or Unix you can think of, and it's just really nice. When I set up a Linux box, pretty much the first thing I put on there is Webmin. So we're still setting up our secure socket layer tools, which always takes a little bit of time because we're generating keys and so forth. So let's see, do we have any screenshots? Yes, we do. So for example, viewing our running processes, just to give you a little tour, screenshot tour of Webmin, just kind of random here. And we see it's all very pointy, clicky. Everything is divided up into modules. It's modular. In other words, you want to add capabilities to it, then you just install the particular module you're looking for, and it's broken up. The system, this is all the stuff that comes with your operating system install. Servers are kind of the add-ons, so email, database, and so forth. You can mess with the hardware. You can set the clock, or deal with your disk partitions. And of course, networking will let you mess with your networking hardware. And boom, look at that. Okay. So it's already complete. It's installed. Let's go ahead and connect to it. Now it's going to be the same IP address, but it's going to be HTTPS because by default it runs with SSL, and it listens on port 10,000. So you have to put the :10,000 on there. Now it's going to complain to you because this is use of self-signed certificates, so your browser will complain that you are possibly connecting to a spoofing site or something. But this is a local connection only. This is a host-only network connection, and so you can go ahead and run it. Now the question is, login. What are we logging as? Well, we already know Vagrant is our login name, as we know from the notes, and our password is Vagrant, and we don't necessarily want to memorize it. And boom! So here we are, and it gives us, right off the bat, it gives us a system information site. It tells us that we've got some package updates available. We can go and adjust the time. Let's take a look and see. We've got a lamp box, so we want to go ahead and let's see if we can manage our MySQL database server. This is a lamp box after all. In fact, that's what we want to use. There's our Apache web server, and do something. So the only question is, what is? I'm trying to remember. Fortunately, this tells us what is MySQL, what is my credentials. Root with password root. Okay, so root with password root. I'm going to save it. And now I am in as the database administrator. I can create users, I can create databases, and it's all very pointy clicky. The command line tool MySQL, of course, is available, but we don't really have to use it. We could also install phpMyAdmin using our little bootstrap method here. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and log out. Log out. And what else? Okay, we've got that. That's very useful. We've automatically made this very useful. What if we want to get to the command line directly? Vagrant SSH will get us there. So this will do a secure connection. Now we are on our Linux box, and we can do pretty much whatever we want. So I want to point out one thing here is there is a folder called Vagrant under the root. Should be. Okay, so as I said, you don't have to know any Linux commands to do this, but if you want to take this to the next level, this is how you use provisioning to run Linux commands when you first set up your virtual machine, or have it using the Vagrant provision command, or you can just connect directly to the command line and type exit to get out. What other commands can we use? Well, we've got suspend. If we didn't want to halt our virtual machine, say we've got something running and we don't want to just cut it off, we can do a suspend. And we can either, to bring it back up, we can either do Vagrant up or Vagrant resume. So it fires back up, unfreezes, sets up authentication, boom, we're up and running. I could also use Vagrant halt to just bring it down completely. Okay, so these are your major commands of Vagrant status, of course, just to confirm. Would help if I spelled status correctly. There we go. All right, so power off, and we're good. And the Vagrant lets you very easily load, install, manage your virtual machines. And if I wedged up my virtual machine, or I'm all done with it, I don't want to use up the disk space anymore, I just type Vagrant destroy, and it says, are you sure? Yeah. But since I already have the Vagrant file, you'll notice Vagrant file, bootstrap, all that stuff is still there. I just run Vagrant up, and it will download a fresh copy of my virtual machine. And since I've set up my Vagrant file so it does the provisioning, it will automatically reinstall all that software and update stuff, and I'll have Webmin back, and I'm good to go. So I even have my web page that I built under public. So really easy to use. That's why I included it as part of the Modern Web Development Toolkit. And I will see you on the next video.